BTS now. That's progress. That's progress. I had a 15-year-old white kid come up to me trying to explain to me the different members of BTS. He was like, oh, this is Jungkook, he's kind of like the lead singer, and that's Jimin, he's really cool, and he also raps. I'm like, dude, they look the same to me. I didn't want to say it. I couldn't say it as an Asian person, but they all just look like me with pink hair. I could turn the whole show to a BTS concert right now. Alright? Yeah, this is Jimmy. This is Jimin right here. You don't know. You don't know. You don't know. You don't know. Smooth like butter. No, I'm not. I love my people, man. I love BTS. You guys probably heard in the news. They got to go to mandatory Korean army. Right? The most popular people in the world. They got to go sign up for Korean military. That's some gangster shit. Imagine how scared you'll be when you encounter BTS on the battlefield. You're in battle, you're already kind of shook. You're in a field of grass, and a little puff of pink hair just pops up. You're like, yo, what the fuck was that? Is that a unicorn? And then 6 more pink hair pop up. You're like, we're surrounded! And the last thing you see is just this. That's some gangster shit. My girl asked me, she was like, babe, what's your love language? I'm like, what? She's like, you know, your love language, like how do you convey love to your partners and loved ones? Like, for example, a love language could be words of affirmation. Like, words of affirmation? I was raised... I thought it would be Marty. I love my BTS, man. Even white people know BTS now. That's progress. That's progress. I had a 15-year-old white kid come up to me trying to explain to me the different members of BTS. He was like, oh, this is Jungkook, he's kind of like the lead singer, and that's Jimin, he's really cool, and he also raps. I'm like, dude, they look the same to me. I didn't want to say it. I couldn't say it as an Asian person. But they all just look like me with pink hair. I could turn the whole show to a BTS concert right now. Alright? Yeah, this is Jimmy. This is Jimin right here. You don't know. You don't know. You don't know. You don't know. Smooth like butter. No, I'm not. I love my people, man. I love BTS. You guys probably heard in the news. They got to go to mandatory Korean army. Right? The most popular people in the world. They gotta go sign up for Korean military. That's some gangster shit. Imagine how scared you'll be when you encounter BTS on the battlefield. You're in battle, you're already kind of shook. You're in a field of grass, and a little puff of pink hair just pops up. You're like, yo, what the fuck was that? Is that a unicorn? And then 6 more pink hair pop up. You're like, we're surrounded! And the last thing you see is just this. That's some gangster shit. My girl asked me, she was like, babe, what's your love language? I'm like, what? She's like, you know, your love language, like how do you convey love to your partners and loved ones? Like, for example, a love language could be words of affirmation. Like, words of affirmation? I was raised by Asian parents. I've never heard one word of affirmation in my life. Nobody ever told me, Jimmy, you're so great, you can do it. They're like, don't fuck it up. Their love language is verbal abuse. White people never brag about how much money they got. They always just brag about how expensive their life is. Like, oh, Joey just started private school, it's so expensive. And our remodel is totally going over budget. Oh, and you wouldn't believe how much money we spent going to Fiji. I'm like, okay, Katie, I see your life, okay? It's a luxurious, good for you, okay. Black people, on the other hand, a lot more straightforward. Black people just tell you exactly how much money they spent on something. It's great. You guys seen it, like my black friends or even like rappers, right? They love to brag. They're like, this car, 80,000. My mama's house, 500,000. This chain, $1 million, man. I'm like, okay, you clearly don't have your priorities straight. But I appreciate the honesty. People love to brag about how much money they spend. Asian people, on the other hand, we do the exact opposite. We love to brag about how little money we spent on some shit. Because the art is in the savings. You never pay full price. Like my mom, her catchphrase is, guess how much? Guess how much? Yeah, that's our people. I can't ask my venture capitalist girlfriend to make me a bento box. I'm not an idiot, I'm a sugar baby. I know my role. So instead of asking her directly, I just drop little hints. Like we'll be sitting on the couch together. I just pull out my phone and pretend I accidentally stumbled onto this video. I'm like, oh, what is this? Bento boxes? Oh my God, it's so cute. What is that, like a rice ball shaped like a panda? Look, 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 look. Wow, so she makes this every day for him? Wow, she must love him so much. I thought I was being slick until she came out to one of my shows and she heard this joke. And she was really upset, man, and rightfully so. I was just up here talking shit, right? We went home, we got into a big fight. She was like, babe, that's bullshit, okay? If you want me to do something, why don't you just ask me directly? And if you really want somebody to make you bento boxes, why don't you just go find a Japanese woman? I'm like, babe, I'm sorry you feel that way, okay? But I think you're missing the point. You don't have to be Japanese to make bento boxes. Right. So now I'm making her bento boxes every day. And then there's Rachel Brosnahan. Do you guys know who she is? Yeah. I love her. She plays the marvelous Miss Maisel. Great show, right? It's an awesome show. And I did a movie with her a few years ago, so I decided to say hi. I was like, oh my God, Rachel, it's so great to see you. Congratulations on everything. And she was like, oh, okay. I'm like, okay, she probably just forgot who I was. I'm like, look, we did a movie like 6 years ago called Patriots Day. You were awesome in that movie. I just want to congratulate you on everything you've done so far. And she was like, oh, yeah, sure. And I'm like, oh, really? Is the marvelous Miss Maisel a bitch? But I wasn't gonna act out of pocket. I was there to represent. So I was very nice. I was just like, oh, it's okay. You just don't remember. Anyways, I just want to congratulate you for all the nominations on Marvelous Miss Maisel. You're awesome. And she was like, oh, I'm not Rachel Brosnahan. I'm Evan Rachel Wood from Westworld. And I was like, holy shit, I'm the racist person here. I think all white people look alike. Jon Snow was staring me down. I'm like, you're a bastard, you can't even stare. And I didn't know what to do, right? I was profusely sweating, my face was flush red. So I was just like, oh my God, I am so sorry. But either way, it's so nice to meet you. My name is Aquafina. And then I just, all these guys with aggressive tattoos, and they're just sweating in. And, yes, chef, 2 minutes, it's still raw. And they're just making fucking scallops. There's 2 items on the menu and they can't handle that shit. You go to any Chinese restaurant, there's about 485 items on the menu. And there's one dude back there in the kitchen. He's not even a chef, he's somebody's uncle from Hong Kong. And he knows how to make everything in under 30 seconds. That guy's the real hero, you know what I mean? He got a yellow wife beater that he brought from the old country. Just chilling near the wok, cigarette in his mouth, just like. That man. And he just cusses casually in Cantonese, just like. I can tell you what kind of Asian somebody is by the sound they make when they're disappointed. Disappointment is our strongest emotion. Whenever we get disappointed, our ancestor just comes out, and you can't hide that, you know? When Chinese people get disappointed, we're just disgusted. We don't want to look at you. When you disappoint a Chinese person, they're just like, oh, you. Like they just walked into a smoky room and they gotta clear it, just like, shh. Japanese people, when Japanese people get disappointed, they just wanna know why. They ask you a question. When a Japanese person gets disappointed, they're just like, eh? Eh? You can go disappoint a Korean person. I wouldn't recommend that. Korean brother might fuck you up, okay? Korean people are intense, they're ready to fight. But they're my favorite type of people because they're very emotionally honest. A Korean person will let you know when they're disappointed. They're real guttural with it, you know what I mean? When you disappoint a Korean person, they're like, ooh! Shiba! But they're still very Asian, so they're still real polite. They'll thank you with that. They're like, oh, Shiba-imida. You guys ever play Guess How Much? My mom would come home with something new, like a watch. She'll be like, Jimmy, guess how much? Guess how much? I'm like, Mom, I don't know, it's a very nice watch, like $5,000. And she was like, no, it's $200. Jimmy, my house, this house, guess how much? Guess how much? I'm like, Mom, I don't know, you live in a very nice house, like $1 million? She was like, no! It's half off, someone died in it. Guess how much? Guess how much? I'm like, Mom, I don't know, very nice shoes, like $200. She was like, oh, you. Do you even know about shoes? These are $500 Jimmy shoes, okay? Better Jimmy than you. One night I came home early. My girl was having a girls' night at the house. I've never seen anything like that. The TV was off. 7 girls sitting in a circle, making direct eye contact with each other. Every candle in the house was lit. And I walked by, I'm like, what is this witchcraft? And I just backed into my own room. Fellas, we hang out different. Guys, when we hang out, we sit in a straight line. TV on full blast. 0 eye contact with each other. My girl came home early. She was so confused. She was like, babe, you guys didn't talk for like 6 hours. I'm like, yeah, isn't that fucking awesome? My dad just from a different generation. He has like a weird beauty standard. Like for us, we just say things on very surface level. Just like, oh, this person's attractive, this person's not, right? My dad would get into the weeds. My dad would give you all the weird details. He would be like, oh, she's beautiful. Very long arms. I'm like, what are you recruiting for a linebacker? What are you talking about? I can never get a pulse on who he thinks is attractive or not, right? One time I'm like, Dad, oh, she's really good looking. And my dad was like, no. Her mouth's too close to her nose. She cannot breathe. She cannot breathe. I see some of you guys look at your partner and it's like, is my nose too close? And that's exactly what an Asian parent does to you, you know? Make you self-conscious about shit you didn't even know about. The most embarrassing part was when we exited the stadium. When we exited Staples Center, there'll be hot dog street vendors out there, right? Latino brothers selling bacon wrapped hot dogs for $5. I love those things. And my dad would go up and haggle with them. He'll go up and be like, okay, I give you $5 for 2 hot dogs. I'm like, Dad, it's not buy one, get one free at Costco. Just give him $10. And he's like, shh, never pay full price. Okay, I'll give you $8 for 2 hot dogs, final offer. And the guy didn't care, he's like, no, it's $10. And then my dad is his strategy. He just announces in front of everyone. Make sure everyone hears him. He's like, okay, we walk away. I'm like, Dad, I don't care. I don't think he cares if you walk away. Don't walk away, I'm hungry. He's like, Jimmy, it's better to be hungry than to pay full price. And then my mom comes up behind us with 4 hot dogs. And she was like, guess how much? Eventually, I became a good Asian American, and I went to school to get an economics degree. Because that was the easiest degree that can still appease my Asian parents. But then after I graduated, I didn't want to do like econ or finance. So I went up to my dad, I was like, Dad, I don't want to do any of this. I want to go try and do stand-up. And he's like, what's a stand-up? You mean like a talk show? I was like, yeah, sure, talk show, whatever you want to call it, okay? But I want to go pursue my dreams. And he was like, no. Pursue your dreams, how you become homeless. I was like, no, Dad, things are different now. We're in America, okay? In America, we're supposed to do what we love. He was like, no. Everyone does what they hate for money and use the money to do what they love. That's that old school Chinese mentality, right? I don't know if you guys know this, but I came from an acting family. But it's not really like Angelina Jolie and Jon Voight. I guess I'll be Angelina Jolie in that equation. My dad is also an actor, but he started acting after I did. Because he was like, it's so easy, you can do it, I can. I'm like, Dad, fine. If you think my life's so easy, why don't you go to some open call auditions and you understand how hard it is, how much rejection I face every day at my job. He was like, okay. And he went to all these auditions and he started booking everything. It's a true story. He got on this show in China, in mainland China, called Little Daddy, Xiao Baba. 500 million people watched that show. It's like the Big Bang Theory of China, and Richard blew up. And he was like, I don't know. My plan completely backfired. And my aunt in Shanghai, she watched the show and she would call the house in LA and she's like, congratulations, Richard. You're such a good actor. Did your son teach you how to act? And he's like, no, I'm a natural. Good, you and your son, same business, you know? You two are very funny. He's like, no, Jimmy's not funny. I'm like, that's bullshit, okay? You got one good role, good for you, I'm happy for you, but you're not a real actor yet. Real actors, we gotta cry, we gotta laugh. Do you even know how to cry in front of camera? He was like, yes, I just think about how much you suck at ping pong. My dad just from a different generation. He has like a weird beauty standard. Like for us, we just say things on very surface level, just like, oh, this person's attractive, this person's not, right? My dad would get into the weeds. My dad would give you all the weird details. He'd be like, oh, she's beautiful. Very long arms. I'm like, what are you recruiting for a linebacker? What are you talking about? I can never get a pulse on who he thinks is attractive or not, right? One time I'm like, Dad, oh, she's really good looking. And my dad was like, no. Her mouth's too close to her nose. She cannot breathe. She cannot breathe. I see some of you guys look at your partner and it's like, is my nose too close? And that's exactly what an Asian parent does to you, you know? Make you self-conscious about shit you didn't even know about. I was very nervous to introduce my girlfriend to my dad. Because she's absolutely beautiful. But who knows if her wingspan is long enough for his liking. I was so nervous, man. The first time I brought my girlfriend to my dad's house, and to his credit, I want to give him credit, he actually didn't say anything crazy. Because for some reason, when an old Chinese person sees white people, they just start acting right. Like his posture changed and stood upright. And for some reason, he just came up with a British accent. Like me and my girlfriend walked in the house, he didn't say anything crazy. He just looked at us, he was like, Oh. Prosperous young couple. And my girlfriend was so confused. It's like, why does your dad sound like Helen Mirren? I grew up very stereotypically, man. I didn't play basketball, football. I grew up playing ping pong. Competitively. That was a serious national sport back home, man. You know, I didn't go to any like fun summer camp, space camp. My dad sent me to a ping pong training camp in Guangzhou, China. I almost died. It was 100 kids competing for one spot on the national team. It was basically Fortnite with ping pong paddles. We took that shit seriously though. My dad would take me to every practice, every tournament game, and he always tried to give me a pep talk before every game. But you know Asian parents, they're way too honest. So every pep talk just turned into an insult. Like he would come up to me and be like, Jimmy, you're going to play well, okay? Even though you're slow, even though you're weak, and you suck. And then he would just walk away. I was very good at math. That's a big Asian stereotype. I think there's some truth to that, not because of some weird genetic thing, just because our parents care so much more about mathematics and academics, right? You guys seen it? You guys seen those like Kumon learning centers in those strip malls, right? Right? Kumon learning centers, for you guys that don't know, are basically detention camps for young Asian children. You can tell that place is kind of fucked up by the look of its logo. Because it's supposed to be a smiley face, but it's not really smiling. It's just like, man. My parents were way too cheap to send me to Kumon. They got a different strategy. They never let me use a calculator until I turned 15, so I can work on my brain function. That's an old school Chinese strategy. You know, so when I turned 15, it was a very special occasion. It was basically my quinceañera. My dad just gave me a TI 83 plus. And he looked me in the eyes, and he was like, you're a woman now, okay?
Thank you, guys.